All right, it's a cold morning, and as you can see right here, we have cycling. If you see it's cycling right there, how much it was cycling, then it stopped cycling. You come back to the temperatures. Let's go back up there. You can see there it was cycling, but then what I did was I opened the doors and I put it off of recycle mode because I wanted to see at what temperature it was starting to cycle. But now I have it on fresh air mode, but it's only like 58 degrees outside, and that would still normally make it cycle really fast because there's no load, there's no sun load. As you can see, no sun. This is San Francisco. It's what it usually looks like. This is most beautiful weather in the country. So I'm taking my temperature. You can see my temperature gauge right there. But the reason it's not cycling is because I'm hitting it with like 120 degree air or 100 degree air. Well, by the time it's mixed, it's probably 90 degree by the time it hits the evaporator. But I have the hot air blowing from the evaporator to condenser, picking up heat off the exhaust manifold over the engine. And you put your hand right here and it sucks in the air right through the crowl on the other side of this gasket. See the gasket? They suck in around the corner. See this little hole right here? This is where, and there's your vents right there, but it sucks in from all over, every little gap. But right now we have 100+ degree air flowing with the hood open, coming past the gasket over here and coming and being sucked in, and is putting it under a load. So this is what we're getting with the hot air being sucked in over the evaporator. Now if we come back here, if we look at there we go, 46 degrees, 43 degrees. As this radiator is getting hotter, the engine's getting hotter. The ambient air here caused by the radiator and the engine are heating up the evaporator. But if we went way back here, we could see where it cycled. And look at our superheat. 16 degrees superheat, 11. Before you couldn't even read that because it was so unsteady and it was cycling so much you could get no load. Now let's close the doors and windows. We'll put it on recycle. We'll get rid of that heat load over the evaporator. Recycle is on. Now it's going to start recycling cold air inside. And in a minute, you'll start seeing the high side go down. And after a while, it'll start cycling. And look at the superheat subcooling. Let's watch that for a little bit. Oh, I didn't data graph that. God dang it. Keep an eye on that. It'll look at our low side slowly going down. The cabin temperature is getting lower. As the cabin temperature gets lower, it's recycling that air over the evaporator. As that air removes the BTU, the energy out of the air, it's delivering less air with less energy to be absorbed by the evaporator. The evaporator's refrigerant will absorb the heat in our low side. There we go, we just cycled. We just got to the point where we cycle. Now you can hear the click, and now we will not have a steady superheater subcooling because this thing is now gonna start going into cycling. And under these conditions, you cannot rely on any numbers on cool days without a load on them, including the load over the evaporator, what we can't do nothing about. Now, if you live in a cool climate and it's wintertime and you still have to do air conditioning, you want something, you get one of those big propane bullet heaters or kerosene bullet heaters, of course, in an area where you have fresh ventilation, and one of those big fans. And you heat up the air and you blow it across the condenser and across your car when you live in a cold area, and you put your temperature sensors up here and you adjust the distance and the temperature of your bullet heater till you're getting like 90 degrees flowing over your condenser. Then on a cold day, you can do some tests that are more proper. For heat load, I had friends with body shops who would let me play with their cars, and I'd turn on the heaters in the spray booth and turn it up to 140 degrees, 120 degrees, and get the lights, and you get the lights for drying paint, and you get those infrared lights, and you put them over the dash and shine it through the dash, and it heats up the inside of the car like it's the sun, and the dash gets all hot and the seats get hot, and you'd use that over as your load inside the car, and you can experiment, but only if you have good test equipment. All right, guys, I'll see you later. We are now cycling, and we got back and we look at this again, see where we were. This is when we were taking in the outside air. Now we're cycling. That's our pressure. See how our high side pressure dropped. And we go back to our temperatures. You'll see it cycling there. We went from bringing in the hot air from the engine compartment. I turned on right at that point. You could see where I hit the recycle button, and it immediately started cooling off to the point where now it's starting to cycle. All right, see ya.